Creating a relationship between tables is pretty straightforward. In Access, you go into the ribbon called Database Tools, and you'll notice there is a button called Relationships. It then displays any tables that you've currently got. Now I want to add all of these, so I've selected the first one called Categories. Going to hold down my Shift key on the keyboard, click on the suppliers, that selects all of them, and I can click Add. We close this box. We've now got all of the tables here. We then want to lay these out to make it a lot easier for us to do the relationships. Now this isn't required, but it does make it a lot easier when you're designing. So we can stretch out the tables here. We can bring the order details table here. We have the orders, the categories, the suppliers. Now you'll notice that some of the fields have a small key next to them. That indicates that it's what we call a primary key. In other words, it's a unique field. Put the categories down here. Shippers, customers, and employees. So here we have all of our tables in here. Now to create a link between two tables, you use your mouse to click and drag. So for example here, if you look at this table that holds all of our products, it's got a field called Product ID. I want to link that to a table that holds all of the details about the order, the quantity, the price. So there's a Product ID in here. So you drag a Product ID field and drop it on top of the Product ID field. As soon as you do that, it brings up this Edit Relationships box. You can confirm that you've dropped it onto the right one, because you should have the fields that you want linked displayed here. We can then tick this box here to enforce referential integrity. If I don't tick that, I can still create it, and there you can see it's put this line, this link line between both fields. If I need to edit this, I can double click on the line to bring the box back up. If I don't enforce referential integrity, then there's no internal check between those two fields. If I tick this box, Access will check to see that the content of that Product ID field here matches what's in the Product ID field in the other table. If there's a mismatch, it won't allow us to enforce this. It's a good way of checking that you do have the right content. This is a one-to-many. If I click OK, you'll notice that it actually indicates with a 1 the one side and the infinity symbol to show the many side. Okay, so Product ID to order details. Now the one side is the product. You could have a Sony widescreen TV, only appears once in this table. However, that Sony widescreen TV will appear many times in this table because it appears on multiple orders. We can continue linking supplier ID to supplier ID, tick enforce, create. Category ID, enforce, create. Looking at these, order ID here can go to order ID over here. Tick these. We've got customer ID, enforce, employee ID, in false. And finally, ship via will link to shipper ID. Now this is just to prove a point that it's not the name of the field you're linking, it's the content. So we can link this to shipper ID in false, and that's created. Now this is a good database design because you can use any field from any table in a query, report or a form. They don't have to be linked. For example, what if I wanted on my report to see all of the customers that have purchased a Sony widescreen TV? Now, although the customer table here is not linked directly to the products table, it can get to it via other tables, and that's a good database design. Make sure that any field in any table can communicate with any other field in another table, using them as a step through. Once you've linked all of these, we can close this view. It will ask us if we want to save the view. The links are done. We're not saving the links, they're already established. It's asking if we want to come back to this same layout. Yes, I do.